Welcome to the Power Couples Rock podcast, where our mission is to build a collective community of marriages, where we encourage, inspire, and support one another in order to have masterful marriages. We're Carlos, Catherine, Chris, and Sonia. Please check us out, powercouplesrock.com. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. We believe that one of the most amazing legacies we can leave in life is a great marriage. So we hope you'll listen, learn, and love the conversation. Let's power up. Hello and welcome to the Power Couples Rock podcast. My name is Chris. Thank you so much for inviting us into your ears today. To my right, you can't see them. I can. They are full of energy, and I got to introduce my most favorite power couple in the universe, Carlos and Catherine Green. What is up, family? Oh,
my goodness. There's so much up. What's up, power couples?
What's up, power couples?
And, of course, I would be remiss if I did not introduce my most beautiful wife, the reason for everything in my life.
Yes. That's
that was sweet. Do you like that?
That was really sweet.
Okay.
Hi, power couples.
That's good. That is
Sonia
good.
Stone, my wife. So we have been talking to a ton of power couples, and we're just now getting into power couples that have just been recently married. And it's something that I've been really excited to just share this time and talk with people who are newlyweds, because I can't remember when I was a newlywed, for one. I certainly can't remember much of anything, but it's really exciting, though, to hear some of these stories. And what it does for me is it helps me to remember these times when I was a newlywed and the reason why Sonia and I got married and why we were brought together. Mm-hmm. And Carlos, I'm going to roll it over to you because I know that this is something that is close to your heart as well. We speak to so many power couples that have been married for so long, but when we have a chance to talk to couples who have done it right from the onset, and we have a chance to just be blessed and listen to their stories, it's something that I think people are just really want to hear. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to roll it over to you and let you kind of set the table, if you would, to introduce our power couple that we have with us
Great.
today.
I'm very excited and honored that this couple would actually come on our podcast and tell their story and also just engage with our Power Couples Rock audience. And I always love to just set the stage that if you could just go to Ephesians 5:21-33, and it talks about the role of the husband and wife and how we represent Christ in the church, gives you some great foundational, a great foundation to actually base your marriage on. And this couple here, they are near and dear to our hearts. When you think so, Catherine? Yeah. They had a beautiful wedding, but what we really enjoyed about them is that their journey, their story, and their preparation, not just for the wedding, but for the marriage as well. So I want to introduce to the Power Couples Rock community, Brian and Gabi Champion. What's up? Isn't that a cool last name?
You can't ask for a better last name.
Champions.
The champions.
Yes.
Say what's up to our power couples.
Hey, what's up, power couples?
Hey, power couples.
Yes.
If you hear that voice, and that's the same. Those voices are the same voices that you've seen on Timeless Tuesday videos on Power Couples Rock. So if you've seen that Timeless Tuesday video, go back onto Power Couples Rock on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You'll see Brian and Gabi there. Yes. And that was how many months ago was that?
That was probably
they weren't
married then. It was about 6 or 7 months ago, right?
Yeah, it was in the fall.
In the fall, and we were asking our Power Couples Rock community to give them words of wisdom as they were preparing for marriage. And Gabi and Brian were just such great people to do it with us after we tried to do that video for about 8 times.
Oh, yeah. We were in a crowded place.
Trying to find a space. So thank you guys for doing that.
Yes. And I'm so glad that our Power Couples community get to hear you after the wedding.
Yes.
So we are super excited to move into that.
So let's get right into it. They are newlyweds. Tell us how you guys met. And then how long have you guys been married?
Yeah. So, all right. How we met. We met, I think the year was 2015 at Wofford College in South Carolina. 2014.
You're in trouble already.
Yeah.
I'll hand it off. Okay.
I got it, baby. So, we met in college, a very, very small school, Wofford College in Spartanburg, South Carolina, a very small town. And we actually met in German class, believe it or not.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was a freshman and he was a junior. And I was so scared I didn't speak to anyone in the class at all. So I'm pretty sure I thought he didn't know I existed, but you did. I did.
I'm looking at her. Of course I knew she existed. Yeah.
But one weekend we had to volunteer for our German class. We had to go teach other children German on the weekends. And he was on the football team and I was a cheerleader. And so there was one weekend where there was no football game. And so we both signed up for that weekend to volunteer. And so then we actually spoke to each other that first time and got to know each other better. Yeah.
You guys spoke to each other in English or German?
English. I think.
Yeah.
We love German, but
It was hard. It was difficult.
yeah.
But yeah, when I saw that I was paired with her on that weekend, I was so excited. Oh yeah, I knew like this is my opportunity.
Yeah.
Yes, that really quiet girl in the back of the class with the really pretty eyes. It was seriously. I was like, I gotta make this work well. And we drove there together with a mutual friend who was also a cheerleader. I was just trying to be funny and goofy.
You were funny and you were goofy.
All right.
It worked.
And it worked very, very well.
Yeah.
I was impressed. So yeah, and then and we started, I think, dating that next January. So that was 5 years ago, just this past month. So
Wow.
we've been together ever since.
Wow. So you guys dated for 4+ years then.
Yeah.
Wow. What took you so long, man? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's a good question.
9.5 years.
9.5 years. I'm just
Right
the
here.
little
No
inside
way.
joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually I get that look from people like I just lost a loved one after I say that. They give me this look like, oh, and they look over at Sonia like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Took a little convincing.
We did
Right.
6 years, so I think we all had long-term dating. Yes.
Okay.
But when did you know that you wanted to marry Gabi?
It's a really good question. And I think that's honestly one of the hardest questions that I've gotten asked. And even leading up to the wedding, I think it's difficult to pinpoint the exact moment. Again, we dated almost 5 years before the marriage, wedding. And, so much built up to it. Our relationship was so fantastic, and we were always growing together and changing. And we watched each other fight so many different battles in school, athletics, and family. When Gabi lost her father, it was a huge moment. That was 2 years before our wedding, and I think that was a big moment for my realization that there was no doubt in my mind I wanted to be with her for the rest of our lives.
Wow.
And it just made all the sense in the world that we were going to get married. So I think to specifically pinpoint a moment, I think it was around that time.
Wow. So you were there for her in her grief and in her loss. And that's, you felt out of that time that she was the one for you because of that.
I did.
Wow.
I was lucky enough to be with her and her mom and her half sister, and things just aligned, and it worked out as well as the situation could have allowed.
wasn't just there for me. He was there for my mom so much.
Wow.
And like literally the day that it occurred. And so he was great.
Oh,
Yeah. And literally my mom and him are pretty much inseparable at this point. So
wow.
That's special.
So what was that like for you then, Gabi, as you all were going through that challenging situation, and you have Brian here, not only for you, but for your family? What were you thinking at that time, or what were you feeling at that time regarding Brian?
I felt very lucky to have him there, because I really don't know what would have happened if he had not been there. And like the thought of going through that without him is just, unthinkable. And so it was having him there, knowing that I had someone that could help me get through it, but also my mom get through it. Because she obviously was a wreck, but we all were. But he was just there, and just in small ways, just like sitting there and not saying anything, but just like being present with me. And it meant a lot, and it was really special. And I already knew that I wanted to be with him, but it was just, a confirmation that, okay, that was probably the hardest thing we had ever been through together. And coming out of that, it's like, okay, now I know we can literally face anything. So
how close, Brian, were you with Gabi's father during that time?
It was tough. I didn't get to become very close with her father, but I was lucky enough to have some special moments with him. He was fairly separated from, I guess, South Carolina. He was always in Atlanta. But I was very lucky enough to have some dinners with him and talk to him, and some memorable moments.
Yeah, he had back issues, and so he couldn't really travel that much to go to the football games and stuff. And my mom went to almost every single one. So she was there a lot. But Brian did, he would come and visit and stuff. But we definitely made the most of our time. I mean, they would talk shop, they'd talk football, and, we'd have steak and things like that. So
I have a pretty funny story, actually. So the first time I met her dad, so it was one of the first times I'd probably ever been to Georgia, right? I'm coming from Northern Virginia, right outside D.C.
Okay.
Gun culture. Not a lot of guns up there. And I have nothing against them, nothing for them. It's whatever. So we're playing pool in her basement and just having a good time. And her dad comes down, and he's the coolest guy, but big guy, huge, my size, but way bigger build.
thicker.
Comes in and goes, hey, Brian, check out this gun I just bought. And it is this huge black handgun. He was like, it was made in like Sweden or Switzerland. He hands it to me, and my mind is racing. I have no idea how to handle this.
You're afraid it's going to go off.
What do you do when someone hands you a gun and says, check it out? So I awkwardly...
You don't point it at anyone.
I was thinking, don't point it at anyone.
Don't drop it.
Don't put your finger on the trigger. So I'm holding it like a waffle. I didn't know, like a plate of food. And I just kind of inspect it and say, wow, this is some fine marksmanship. I probably just looked like the biggest idiot. And I was like, this is great. He just kind of chuckled. It was like...
He knew.
Yeah, he knew. And I just looked at her like, how?
And I just was like, give it to me.
You knew that was a test, right?
Yeah, it was.
I'm going to put a gun in that boy's hand. We're going to see how that's going to work out.
And I failed. But later that night, he made steaks for everyone. He was an incredible chef. Absolutely amazing. Made these ribeyes. And he made everyone each a huge ribeye, and he gave me one that was bigger than my head. He was like, you deserve this. And it made me feel so good. We have a picture of that ribeye.
It had its own plate.
It probably weighed 30 pounds. It was just-
Wow.
That's how you knew that you were.
Welcome to the family.
Yeah.
So that was great.
That's so
When did
special.
you, that is definitely special. And those are memories that you guys can share and talk about, from now on and until you grow older in your relationship and marriage. What did the proposal look like?
That is an amazing story. I have never seen such an elaborate thing happen in my entire life. I mean, I found out all the planning it took afterwards, but it was just crazy. So I guess you should start.
Yeah. So I'll start with the moment. So with my job, it allowed me to plan my own work trips. And the stars kind of aligned. It was the spring of 2017. And I realized Gabi was going out of town for some reason.
Spring break.
Girls trip. So it was just her mom at home in Atlanta. If I make a trip to Atlanta, I can use this to ask her mom if I can marry her. So I did that, went to Atlanta, and had this kind of sneaky trip where she didn't know I was even going to see her mom. And I asked her, hey, did the whole thing. Can I please marry your daughter? And she was so funny. Her first reaction, do you remember what she said?
She said, what are your intentions?
Yeah. What are you excited at all? What are your intentions? Is she going to finish school? I was like, yes, of course. But then she said, let's go look at rings. So it just went on a fast track of this is really happening. So it's like, wow, okay. So I got all my friends together that live actually in Philadelphia and Virginia and said, I need your help. We're going to do a crazy proposal. So they flew down to South Carolina. We were going to play it off like it was going to be a tour of our college, Wofford College. They had never visited, my best friends. So it was a nice little plan to trick her to dress nice and do a tour.
And it was Cinco de Mayo, so it was kind of a big, fun weekend. And so I was like, oh, of course they're going to come for this weekend. It'll be really fun. There's a lot going on. So I had no idea at all.
So, and also cameras are ready because we're taking a ton of pics. And I actually let her entire sorority know what was happening, but I told them that we were going to have a celebration for her birthday, which is 2 days later. But I only told two of her close friends that what I was actually doing was proposing to her. And it was unbelievable because we had the tour and we stopped in front of the football field, which is where we spent most of our time. And she was told by my buddy as we were taking a picture, hey, what's that on the jumbotron? And she turned around and it was a picture of us. And as she turned around, I got down on one knee and my buddy threw the ring at me.
Threw the ring in a box.
The box was too big to keep in my pocket. So I was like, there's no way I can keep this a secret. So I was like, his name's Will Thompson. I said, we got to practice this. So that morning we were tossing a wedding ring back and forth. I was like,
wait,
look,
why is he throwing it to you? Why
it was the only way. It was the only way. Yeah.
They had it hidden in a camera bag, so no one knew where
How
it
close?
was.
How far was he from?
It's about 10 feet. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he played football, so I'm sure you were used to catching things.
Your most nervous moment of your life. Here comes a ring flying at you.
There was
right?
no chance I was going to drop that. There was no chance in the world. So it could not have gone more perfectly. My buddy tossed me the ring. She turned back around. I opened it and showed her, and all her friends are there with cameras. Wow. And I popped the question.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then there was an after surprise party after that where all of my friends were there coming. They thought it was a birthday surprise and they got there and there were all these decorations with engagement stuff.
Wow.
And so it was two surprises in a row and it was perfect.
Yeah, I love how you planned that out all the way to I can't let this leak. I've got to let these people know it's something else. Mm-hmm. It was
exactly.
it's okay for me to lie a little bit, not really a lie. God will forgive me on
I'm gonna reveal it later, right?
Yeah.
God. So you guys popped the question, and then so you got engaged, start preparing for the wedding as well as the marriage also. So talk to us about your preparation for the marriage, because I know that Catherine and I did some coaching with you guys. Would love to know what you guys thought about the preparation process.
We, got engaged in May, but we weren't planning to get married until not that following November, but the November after that. So we had kind of a long time, about 1.5 years to plan for the wedding and then prepare for our marriage. And we, decided to do the coaching, and we had personally never had any, issues come up between the two of us, but we thought, hey, it wouldn't hurt. And also it would be a great, reassurance of I felt reassured during the process that, okay, this is right. What we're doing is, perfect. We have the same values and we have the same expectations about our future. And so we really, really enjoyed the coaching. I definitely did. It just reassured me and gave me confidence going into the craziness of last minute wedding planning and knowing that anything can go wrong with the actual wedding planning and stuff, but the marriage will be fine.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
That's good. Brian, for you.
Yeah, I think she put that very well.
What she said.
Yeah, what she said. I'm just having you guys there to talk us through really important questions that we might have, breezed over occasionally, but to have that formal counseling to say, let's talk about this. Are you both going to have kids in the future? Have you talked about money? Where do you see yourself in 5 years, and really digging into that sort of that realm that's so important before making that commitment on your wedding day. So that was just really fantastic.
And I remember us talking about your spirituality. We talked about you guys, sex, making love and all that. And that's like, that's a little bit. But I think that those are important issues to discuss for any couple that are getting ready to enter into marriage.
We gained so much from just having conversation with you all. It really strengthened our relationship because it just allows us to create community and to even talk about whatever those subjects we talked about. It made us to revisit some of those subjects too. So it also strengthened our relationship. So I just wanted you to know that. And I appreciate you guys sharing your time with us as far as coaching goes.
I think that we have found that just being with you guys doing this Power Couples Rock thing has been kind of eye-opening for us too. There's been things that Carlos and Catherine have both brought up that I'm thinking, gosh, we've been married like 21 years and I've never even thought about that. Wish
and you guys
I had known
that before
that.
you even got married.
Yeah, I wish I had known that beforehand. So yeah, I mean, you guys are very blessed to have had the two of them coaching you through that prior to your even getting married. So, yeah.
So how long? Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just curious as to how you found your way to Carlos and Catherine and determining, how you're why you're working with them and how you guys decided to work with them.
Yeah, so I guess that goes back to how I met Carlos. I was actually talking about this earlier. I had my first job interviews in Northern Virginia, and I was still in school.
Okay.
Carlos actually worked with my mom in DC.
Oh, wow.
And so, of course, I have my suit on, looking pretty confident, but of course, I don't know what I'm doing at all. My mom kind of realizes that and says, I have someone that you need to meet. And this is Carlos. And Carlos was just right off the bat the sweetest, most caring, amazing person, and so full of energy. And he asked me some great questions that made me realize how unbelievably unprepared I was for these interviews. And he was so kind and said, come to my office and we're going to get on the computer and do some research on these companies. And just immediately, I had just met him, but he felt like my best friend. And he was just so helpful at a time that was very stressful. And I could see the relationship that he had with my mom. And my mom just loves him so much because he's been such a great friend that, that's kind of where it all started. And that connection has just grown ever since. That was like a while ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah, about 5 years.
Everybody loves Carlos.
Yes, they pray for his wife, but
I tell you what, I really like to see, and I liked it so much that we put it on powercouplesrock.com when you log in, was the pictures from your marriage when Carlos was marrying you guys and the flowers out on the beach. Tell us about your wedding day. I'd love to hear what you guys felt about that.
It was just amazing. And, you know, after I was introduced to Carlos with he and his mom introduced my mom and I to Carlos, it was just immediately we were like, okay, we have to get him to officiate our wedding. Like, that is the person that we want with us standing up there on that day, because he is just, you sit down and you speak with him and he just like wants to genuinely know everything about you. And he made us feel so special though. And he had us all crying by the end of the lunch that we had together, just talking about each other and how we met. And so when the wedding day came, we had discussed, you know, things we would say, and we wanted our ceremony to be very special and personal. And it was in Seaside, Florida, which is a really special place for my family, because my dad, we always went down there for vacations growing up. And so it was a very special place. And I think Carlos helped us really convey that to everyone else who came to the wedding, because not everyone knew that, but they all came from pretty far. And so he just really helped us make what we wanted and how we wanted to show everyone how much we love each other, and we loved everyone who was there. So he was just amazing, and then Catherine was amazing too, and helping us.
Stood beside him. That's all.
And you looked gorgeous.
Thank you. It was the environment and the atmosphere, but I was in the audience. It was an amazing ceremony. I mean, people were just like, Carlos did an amazing job. You know, just bringing people and inviting us in on your journey. And I just, it was, oh my God. And that's all we heard after. It's like, that was just, do you do this all the time? Can we book you?
I think we need to get married again.
Well, we have been married twice.
Yes, we have. We can do 3.
Hey. Can you marry us right now? Right now on the podcast.
But this is not about me.
But he really gets to know the individuals. It's not just a litany of words up there. He really respects the individuals and wants to tell their story and bring people into that story and be a part of that journey. And he did that. And I had talked with you all, but that day it was still just fresh and new, and it was an awesome experience. Awesome experience. You're great, babe.
Everyone was crying.
Everyone was crying. And your vows were amazing. The sunset coming down on the beach. I mean, I was just like, oh my God, can I walk down the aisle with Carlos?
I'm curious, and I'm sorry if I'm interrupting anyone on this, but I'm curious, now that you guys have been married, not for long, but you have been married, and you went through, what was it, a year and a half of the counseling prior to getting married? Was that right?
We just met each other, but we went through about 2 or 3 months of counseling or coaching at that point.
So, you know, I'm not saying you're like seasoned married veterans right now or anything.
We're not.
We're learning stuff every day about each other. But if you were to give advice to someone who was in the process of getting married, what would you tell them?
Well, if you're anywhere near Atlanta, Georgia, find the power couple, contact them.
Well, it's almost like I set that up.
I'm being serious, though. Taking premarital counseling, having professionals sit down with you and talk with you. And actually, I mean, you can do it over Skype, which is what we did. So you don't need to be in Atlanta. Seriously, though, just being able to ask those questions. There's so many important questions that you need to talk about with your future spouse and just kind of go over and make sure everything's in alignment and create that, increased communication.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we have talked about those things a little bit, but I think it kind of like gives you the opportunity, things are crazy during the day and during the week and you're working and all this stuff. But I think it just helps to just sit down and give yourself that opportunity to discuss these things. And for us, there were no surprises, thank goodness. But you really never know. And to just going into your marriage, being on the same page about everything is just very reassuring that you're doing the right thing and you're with the person you're supposed to be with. Yeah. So we have talked to people before and we encourage them, friends who are getting married, that they should do some counseling or coaching just to make sure that their communication skills are right there and prepared for anything. So
one of the things that Brian and I did, we met a couple of times just by ourselves because I wanted to have a man-to-man conversation with Brian because of the scope and the breadth and depth of the responsibility that he was going to be carrying as a husband. And I didn't want him to take that lightly because he's caring for this woman for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And he's inviting her into his world. And so there's a tremendous amount of responsibility that comes with that. And I just wanted to make sure that as we're walking through that process, that he understood what that meant for him and that he does not take that lightly. So we actually had some really good heart-to-heart conversations regarding that, right?
Yeah, those are so valuable to me to really make it just serious. This is a very serious commitment and just making it real that, I'm going to be with her for the rest of my life.
That's right.
Yes, you are.
Well, she didn't even blink.
Right?
I was like, yep.
Yes. Yeah. Having those discussions, just me and you, meant a ton for me. Just in our preparation, those were very valuable. And what I learned, and I shared with her, what we talked about, and it helped us so much.
What has been the biggest adjustment that you all have had to make since you've been married?
I don't think we have had too much of an adjustment. I think we're definitely, taking the time to spend with each other. We're making sure that we take that time, out of the weekends instead of spending each night with friends. We're making sure that we take time for ourselves.
One-on-one,
yeah, just one-on-one. Because, during the week, we're so exhausted from work. You just come home, you have dinner, and then it's time to go to bed and wake up and go again. So just taking that time to just be with each other, I think has just, to put that first has been, I guess, our biggest adjustment.
Yeah, I agree. We're lucky enough to be surrounded by so many friends in our area. It's been an adjustment to really focus our priorities, which is our marriage and our relationship, and making sure that we do have that one-on-one time in the weekends, the weekdays, just letting our friends know, kind of how we want to live our lives moving forward and that we love them and respect them. But, we're married now.
Are your friends married? What is the ratio of friends that are married to those that aren't? Are they supportive of what you guys are really trying to do?
They are supportive, and we've seen them grow, but we're actually the first of all of our friends to get married.
Wow.
So it's a big adjustment for everyone. Yeah.
Okay.
Although we do have 6 weddings to attend this year.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
6.
Yes.
That's awesome.
But of our immediate Atlanta area friends, we are the only ones married right now. So even planning the wedding, there was an adjustment period to where, okay, we can't see you guys every single day, every single night. We would like to spend some time together. So I think they finally get the picture, which is nice.
We're married.
I think it's good to be able to have that conversation, because oftentimes what happens is when you don't have the conversation, that's when attitudes start to flare up. But I see you guys have been intentional. And so you take control of your marriage. You don't let the outside influences take control. And I believe people respect that a lot when you can be upfront and you're just not cutting them off completely like that, but they understand that there has to be some type of balance in your life, and you two are a priority. So kudos.
Well, plus they're going to be looking at you like you're the experts, right? It's like, I'm getting married, so I'm going to get some advice. I mean, so in a way, you're leading and you're prepared. We can hear that. We can see that you guys are prepared to lead your friends in that. And it's got to be difficult if they're not married yet and they're used to the Brian who played football at Wofford and can go out and hang out, and it's like, listen, guys, this is my priority here, and I'm gonna do this for Gabi, and that's awesome. That's priorities that you want to keep aligned. I think one thing that we talk about all the time is trying to find other power couples, other people that are like-minded, that are married, that are looking to, the Proverbs iron sharpening iron, I think comes into play. And that's something that Sonia and I did not do. And we got together with a community of couples that had that in mind. And that just took our relationship to our next, and not just our relationship with each other, but our relationship with God. And it's super important, right?
Yeah, because believe us, when Chris first came around and Sonia said, he is not going to talk. Now, do you hear him on this mic? Is this the person that you would think is not
talking to people in France, I'm talking to people in Brazil, Stockholm.
Exactly. So
I love it.
It lights a fire in you. It really does. It lights a fire.
And you learn from those other couples too. I think that's the most important thing, is that you get different perspectives on things that you're facing and see things in a different way. It kind of gives you some things to look at, and you can pick and choose from the advice that you get. But that's always very helpful, I think, just for learning.
Yeah.
So last question that I actually have for you guys. What would you want people to see in your marriage and in your relationship years from now? You've been married 10, 15, 20 years, and they look back and they say, wow, this couple, fill in the blank.
I want people to see that we were just meant for each other. That's what I wanted to come across, during our ceremony and at our wedding. And I'm pretty sure it did come across. There was a lot of emotions that day. And so I think just that we're just, we're meant to be, and like, there's nothing stopping us, and nothing will ever stop us from being together. So,
Yeah.
Brian?
I think growth in our relationship. Wow. We have so many great family members and friends that say, wow, your relationship is so amazing and your love is so strong. But in 10, 20 years, I want them to say, wow, it's even stronger now. You have a family. You guys have grown so much, but you're also so consistent with, your focus and your love. And I want them to just, be amazed by it. I don't know how else to say it.
Well, we're going to play this back in 15 years.
so we'll see.
20 years, so you'll see.
Just as a reminder.
We want it to be amazing.
We'll be like, this is the Power Couples Rock.
Brought to you by Geritol. Whatever the sponsor's going to be at that time.
From the old folks' house.
Right, exactly.
We definitely are going to follow up with you all so that our listeners can see how you're doing 6 months and a year from now, to see if you still have that same fire, to see if you've grown, if you've watered your marriage, if you've surrounded your marriage around, healthy couples, like-minded couples, and if you're just hanging out with the Power Couples Rock community. Okay, that's what it's all about. So we will definitely check back in with you all.
All right. I just, power couples, just to wrap this thing up, let's shine a light on Brian and Gabi here. Marriage nowadays, when you hear about it in general, it's not positive. You're hearing about a lot of negativity. You're hearing about a lot of divorce. Let's celebrate Brian and Gabi's marriage, what the foundation is, and let's get
Powered up.
Thanks for listening to the Power Couples Rock podcast. We hope that you've been encouraged, inspired, and supported. Please listen and subscribe to our other Power Pods, as we are confident that they will strengthen your marriage. Also, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. It's there where we can extend these discussions together, take these conversations and your marriage to the next level. Enjoy your day and power up.